All right, everybody, welcome to race 3 here at Brands Hatch. This is our third official race, third points race in our championship season. 8 races total, so we're getting pretty far into the season already. This week we're at a track that's familiar to everyone because we raced Brands Hatch before our season started, a couple of weeks before the season started. And so this is a track that everybody seems to be getting faster and faster at. Because of that, we have some difference in our running order than normal. We've got David Macedo with pole position, followed by John Snow in second. Now, these guys are both normally very fast, but usually we end up seeing Vroman, maybe Mike Doherty up here in the very front. So we'll see how that plays out, having these guys in the front. But they're showing a lot of speed here. Behind that, you've got Andre Marchishin and Kyle Macedo, both of which are really fast here. Kyle kind of burst onto the scene at this track weeks ago when he had about an 8-lap stint where he was blazing fast and kind of surprised everyone. Then we've got Jay Vroman in 5th, Mike Doherty in 6th, Joe Marsiglia in 7th, Pedro Perez in 8th, Mike Caminiti in 9th, and Eric Tong in 10th. So we got a 10-car field. Good close racing so far this week, and Friday night's races. There were some technical difficulties in Friday night's races. Some guys had some problems with their force feedback, as well as some other issues. I think somebody had a problem with their pedals. We just kind of had a lot of mechanical issues in the Friday night races, but we're hoping to have a nice smooth race. That's why we do practice races, to get these things kind of sorted out before the big race on Saturday. So we look at them here getting started around the grid. We're a growing league, and we're very confident with the core group of guys that we have, but we want to continue to grow. We'd like to have a larger field of cars eventually. And so if you're interested in racing in a league in ACC, we run Monday and Wednesday nights at 7:30 for practice. Friday night's practice races are at 7:30 with a drivers meeting at 7. So we start at 7 on Friday nights. And then Saturday's main race is at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So all times are Eastern. Most of the guys in the league are in the Eastern time zone or close to it. We do have a couple of UK guys, and we have a couple of West Coast guys, so we're trying to keep it in the middle where everybody can be a part of things. But if you're looking for some good, clean racing, we are open to drivers of all skill levels. We'll coach you up if you want some help. We've had a lot of the guys in the league get some help with just consistency and car setup and different things like that, and they've improved their speed tremendously just having a little bit of help from some of the guys who are the veteran drivers. So we'll leave a link to the Discord in the description of this video, so if you want to join our Discord and come join the league, we'll make that easy for you. But you see the guys here. This race looks to be really fast. Like I said, Brands Hatch, you don't usually run the same track twice in short amount of time, but we are doing that here. So these guys know it really well. You see them getting formed up for the start of the race here. We have a lot to look forward to tonight, and here we go, about to get the green flag coming down the stretch. David Macedo leading the group. There's the green flag. He's coming down. Here they come down the hill. Oh, looks like Joe got a little loose there. Let's go back and take a look at what happened to him real quick. coming down the hill. He's on the inside, and him and Kyle Macedo get together. Just kind of looking for the... And then Kyle loses it and goes off into the wall. Ooh, hard hit into the wall. So, not a good start for those guys. You see David's kind of pulling away a little bit in the front up here, followed by Jon Snow. Followed by Andre Marcheshin. And then Jay Vroman is going to be behind Andre. We got a little bit of a gap between the top four and the next group here. We got Joe Marsiglia dealing with Mike Caminiti right on his heels. You see Caminiti running a little wide, but he's able to hold on to it. And we got Mike Doherty all the way back into 8th place, so he got a bad start. There you see Caminiti off the track. So Caminiti, I don't know if he... Let's go back real quick. He ends up wide and ends up just bouncing off the wall, able to keep momentum and get back on the track. Hopefully he didn't sustain too much damage there. Take a look at Vroman running in 4th place. And David Macedo, he's gapping Jon Snow a little bit. He's got the gap up to 1.5 seconds. You see him coming down the hill here, nice and smooth. Meanwhile, Marsiglia has gapped the guys behind him, so he's trying to run down the leaders. We got Doherty, who's up into 6th place. He's gotten past Pedro Perez and Eric Tong. And we know Mike has usually got great pace, but he's got a lot of time to catch up, or to make up to catch these guys in the front. So we'll see what he can do. Alright, let's get back up to the front here. David Macedo still holding on nice and strong. The real battle is for second, though. These three guys are 1, 2, 3, second, third, and fourth. Keeping it nice and close. You see Vroman right on the heel. Oh, Marcheshin gets a little bit wide, but is able to pull it back in. You see Vroman kind of peeking down the inside, but I don't think he's going to try to pass coming down the hill. That's not a smart thing to do at all. You see Marcheshin really getting up on Jon Snow there. Snow maybe a little bit slow through that corner. David Macedo is maintaining a pretty good gap, although Snow's got it down to a 0.9 now, so he's gaining on him a little bit. Let's check back with Joe. Marsiglia, he's got Mike Doherty hunting him down, so that's not good for him. Doherty's he's a very fast driver, so let's see what happens there. Meanwhile, in the back, we've got three guys, close battle. Eric Tong in front of Pedro Perez, who's followed by Mike Caminiti. And Caminiti he's having a hard time with that Porsche tonight. He's having a little bit of struggles here. Check in with Marcheshin. Let's take a look on board. So Marcheshin, oh, you see Snow get a little loose there. Marcheshin's looking down the outside, but there's nothing he's going to be able to do on this slow corner. Oh, and he gets into the back of John. Oh, no, and then Vroman gets into the back of him. Oh, what a disaster for these guys. You see Joe Marsiglia trying to cash in on all the carnage coming down the inside here. Marchician's going to hop right on his heels. Jon Snow is right behind him. Jay Vroman's right behind him, and Mike Doherty is right in the thick of all this now. So we got Marsiglia looking, he's kind of on the inside. I don't know how they're going to make this work. These guys are spreading out a little bit just to kind of fit it through there. That's not a turn you want to be too wide in at all. None of these turns through this part of the track. And as you see, Andre ends up off the track because this is not where you want to be too wide. These three corners right here, very, very dangerous with single wide, much less too wide. It's pretty much impossible. So you see Doherty just trying to weather the storm here as these guys are all jockeying for position, losing control a little bit. Not Doherty, but the guys that are jockeying for position. So Joe's holding on to it now. He's up into third place. Let's check on our leader. So David, he has got a 10.5 second gap right now on Marsiglia. So things couldn't be going much better for him. He just pulled out a big gap. And he's looking really strong so far in the lead. Let's check on Marsiglia and see where he's at. So he's got this group of cars right behind him, so he's got his hands full. He's just got to put his head down and get what he can. Meanwhile, you see Eric Tong in the mix right here. He's caught up to these guys. And Pedro Perez is not far behind, so this pack back here is really tightening up. Oh, and Marsiglia is off the track. You see Joe there? So that's going to take him out of the hunt for the time being. Let's see if we can see what happened to him here. He's coming through these high-speed corners. Coming into the next one. This is where you got to come down into third gear, and he just loses the rear end of the car. Lucky he didn't spin back onto the track. Loses it and waits for everybody to get past. Unlucky for him there. So meanwhile, we got David Macedo way out in the lead. He's pulling away from everybody because everybody's kind of racing each other and slowing each other down. Meanwhile, David's just running away with this thing. So you see Vroman, followed by Snow, followed by Doherty, followed by Eric Tong, followed by Marchician, followed by Pedro Perez. These guys are all kind of hanging together for now. You see John get off the track a little bit there. He manages to hold on to it. You wonder, you know, there wasn't any big impacts by any of these guys, but they did make contact. You can see the damage there on the front of Jay's car. So you wonder how much that is affecting the car, you know, right now. Take a look on board with Mike Doherty. Nope, wrong button. There we go. Mike Doherty. He's running in fourth place. See him all the way down into first into this turn. So These guys are starting to spread out just a little bit. You see Eric Tong holding strong back here, trying to hold off Marchician. And Pedro Perez is staying in the hunt with these guys. He's lurking in the background back here. Tong was running a really nice race last week in the horrible pouring rain conditions that we had at Silverstone, and he just had a couple of unfortunate spins. If it wasn't for that, uh-oh, we see somebody's off the track up there. Let's take a look at who that was. We saw the dust in front of Doherty there. Oh, I think that might have been our leader. Let's take a look. David coming through here. Oh, he looks clean through there. I'm not sure who that was. You see, there's Vroman getting off the track a little bit. Maybe that's what I saw. So Vroman, Snow. These guys are pulling away from Doherty now. I don't know if Doherty had a mistake at some point or if these guys are just really getting faster. But they're pulling away from Doherty a little bit. They cross the line here. We'll take a look at what the gap is to Macedo. He is 12.1 seconds ahead. So David he's running out front. He's having a really good showing so far as a front runner. Now remember, these races are hour-long races, so a lot of things can change before the end of this race. You know, you got tire strategy and fuel strategy, and everybody does have to pit, but nobody actually has to do anything. They don't have to take fuel. They don't have to take tires. If they're brave enough to run without tires, they can try that. Doesn't seem like it's a very viable game plan on most tracks, but we know on this track before Mike Doherty chose not to take tires and got way out in the lead, and Jay Vroman spent about 10 laps running him down and caught him with 2 or 3 laps left and was able to pass him and take the win. But Doherty moved from third up into second with that pit strategy that he used. So it is an option. We'll see what happens tonight. Who's going to make a bold move like that? Meanwhile, you see Tong. He's hanging in there, hanging strong, trying to catch up to Doherty, holding Marchician at bay for the time being. Marsiglia, he's fallen all the way back to ninth, so something else must have happened to him. I don't see any damage on the car, but he's definitely had another incident of some kind, because he's fallen quite a ways back. Meanwhile, Pedro, running in 7th place, Pedro is becoming a really consistent driver. He still isn't the fastest guy on the track, but that's coming. It's coming down the line because his consistency is really, really good. He's improved so much since he's been with us, and it's really fun to see him continue to progress as a driver. So we're all everybody's kind of rooting for Pedro as we go along here. So we take a look at Tong. Let's take a look at the onboard with Tong here. So Tong trying to see if he can hunt down Doherty. Not going to be an easy task. Mike is a pretty fast driver. You see Marchician getting right up on Tong now. Nice and tight through there. jump on board with Marchician. Marchician, he qualified really well, so he's got great speed. He's had a couple of incidents that put him back here into 6th place. Whoa, whoa, you see him losing it right through there. Oh man, manages to hold on to it. Pretty close to coming around on that one though. That was pretty hairy. So now Tong has got the gap open back up on him. So Marchician's got some more work to do to catch him again. Let's take a look at Snow running in 3rd. He's now 3.2 off Roman. Now Roman has started to hit his pace, because he's, as you see him slide through that turn there, he's got the gap cut down to 8.5 seconds on David Macedo. And we are only about a quarter of a way through this race. This is a long race, a lot of laps here at Brands. So there's a lot of racing to be done left. 8-second gap is by no means a guarantee. Let's take a look at where Doherty is. He's coming up the hill here. He's kind of got a lot of room both in front of and behind him. He's a little bit in no man's land right now. So right now, the closest battle that we have going is this one right here. Andre Marchician under threat from Pedro Perez. Now, we knew this was coming. We knew Pedro was going to reach the point where his consistency started to turn into speed. We knew that was just a matter of time, because he showed a great amount of consistency, and he's gotten better and better and better as he goes. But we've never seen Pedro in an attacking position, so I don't know how aggressive he is as a driver. As you see Eric Tong off the track there, trying to rejoin. So that's going to give Marchician 5th place. Marchician, he's got to be kind of frustrated with where he's at right now. I mean, I guess he's had a couple of lucky breaks where he really could have put some damage on that car. He almost lost it a couple of laps ago and got lucky to, not lucky, good. He was good enough to hold on to it. But that could have been an absolute disaster right there and ended his race. Let's check back to the front. We've got Vroman. Now John Snow has started to reel in Vroman a little bit. Let's take a look at where Vroman is compared to Doherty. Is Vroman slowing down? He is slowing down. He's now 9.9 seconds off of Doherty. So he's lost a little bit of time. John Snow is gaining on him. Once again, we're not sure how much damage might be affecting these cars between Vroman. Let's see, it was Vroman, John Snow got involved in that, and then Andre Marchician. So those 3 cars were all involved in an incident, not a high speed incident, but an incident just the same. All it takes is a little bit of a tweak to the front downforce or something like that, and your car is just not right. So you see Vroman there. The gap is 10.3 seconds to David Macedo. Let's check on Macedo. He's looking really good. David has never won with us. He's finished really well. He's been up in the top of the pack several times, and he's found a lot of speed these last couple of weeks. He's really become one of our fastest drivers, but he's yet to get a win. So, and that includes, I believe, the practice races. I don't think he's gotten a win in the practice races or in one of the main. I know he hasn't in one of the main races. So he's hunting that elusive win, and he's in really good position to get it today. So he's looking really solid. Roman is 2.7 in front of Snow. We got Doherty. He's 6.5 ahead of Marchician. Marchician is now 3 seconds ahead of Eric Tong. Mike Caminiti has caught up to Eric Tong, or almost caught up to him. So this might be an interesting battle here. We see Pedro fell back, so Pedro must have had a mistake at some point, because he's back into 8th place now. So Tong, we saw him off the track a few minutes ago, but he's managed to keep it. Looks like the car is still in decent shape. He hasn't got any damage, just slowed down going off the track. So he's got Mike Caminiti he's going to have to deal with now. As you see him run wide there into the grass. Oh, it looks like Caminiti, almost an incident there. And now Pedro Perez is caught up to him. So we're not halfway through the race yet. We still got a lot of laps left, and we still got pit strategies to deal with. So a lot of people are gonna shuffle around when we go through the pit strategy, because some of these guys like to pit really early, some of them like to pit later in the stint. So we jump on board with Jon Snow here. You see Roman up there. These guys are kind of spread out, but right now that's probably okay. A little bit of time to just turn some laps, manage your tires, and then whenever it comes time to pit, that's going to shake things back up. So see the times here: 1:25.6 for Jon Snow on his last lap, 1:24.6, so a second faster for Roman on his last lap, 1:25.5 for David Macedo. So Roman was much quicker that last lap than either of these guys. See what Doherty is, 1:25.8. Yeah, so Roman showing a lot of speed. There you see David Macedo in the distance up in front of Jay here. See what that gap is. It's down to 8.5 seconds again, so still a considerable gap, but Roman, he's got a lot of speed when he puts it all together. And you see him get a little wide in the grass there. We saw David had just done the same thing before him. These guys are pushing hard, pushing the limits of the track. As we see Marsiglia going into the pits right there. Joe going into the pits. See Eric Tong here, followed by Caminiti. See Caminiti sliding it through that final corner there. See him coming down the hill. That's not safe. And he's got Pedro Perez right on him. Pedro, see Caminiti off the track there. Pedro, like I said before, we've never really seen him in attack mode to know what that looks like, but he's got enough speed that if Caminiti makes another mistake, Pedro's just going to take the spot. It's not going to be much of a challenge if he goes off the track again. Caminiti flirting with the track limits a little bit in that Porsche. You see Pedro, he's nice and steady. Pedro's really gotten good at being consistent. He's really showing great improvement. Meanwhile, both of these guys look like they're catching up to Eric Tong right now. So Tong, he's had a couple of mistakes, but he's having a pretty good race overall. We'll see if he can hold it together. These guys are going to keep the pressure on him. Whoa, you see Caminiti lose it there. Perez is going to take the position if he can get it back on the track safely. He's just slow and steady back onto the track. Going to be able to make it. So that's going to put him up into 7th place with Caminiti behind him, and then Marsiglia, who's running in 9th right now. We'll see if he was going for the undercut or not, if that'll gain him any positions. Meanwhile, let's check on some of these other guys. We got Doherty here running in 4th. Nobody in sight for him. John Snow running in 3rd. See Vroman up ahead there, but that's a pretty good gap to Vroman. Meanwhile, Vroman has got the gap to David Macedo cut down to a... Oh, it was up for a second and I missed it. Let's see what the next split is. 7.6 seconds to David Macedo. That's still a pretty considerable gap, so... We don't see David in sight right now, so... Take a look here at David Macedo. He's 6.7 seconds in front of Roman, so his gap is starting to diminish. Meanwhile, Snow has fallen to 5.9 seconds behind Roman, so there's a pretty decent gap there, and then Doherty's 8 seconds behind Snow, so the gaps have widened in the front. These guys are kind of spreading out right now. You know, we wonder how much the pit strategy is going to play a role in the final 15 laps or so at this race. Now, if you're David Macedo right now, depending on what you have on your heads-up display, if you have the splits on your heads-up display and you can see that Vroman is slowly cutting away at that lead, that's a form of pressure on its own. Even if you can't see him in your rear view, just knowing that he's bringing that gap down a little bit every lap that can be a lot of pressure on a driver when they're out in the lead like this. All right, let's go back to the back of the group here. Caminiti's a little bit behind Perez, who's 3.7 seconds behind Tong. Marchician is kind of in no man's land right now. He's 14 seconds behind Doherty, and Tong is 9.5 seconds behind him, so he's kind of just got the track all to himself for the time being. Which really all of these guys do. This is probably the most spread out. Oh, we see Jay coming off the track here. This is probably the most spread out we've been around the halfway point of a race since our season started. So some of the guys, you know, gained a lot of speed since the last time that we ran this track, but also, you know, we had some of these guys involved in little incidents that may have affected their downforce, their front end, whatever it might have affected. So that could be playing a factor also. But you can see the gap from Vroman here to Snow is pretty wide, just over 5 seconds. Okay, so we got Eric Tong coming into the pits right now. Mike Doherty is coming out of the pits, so he pitted also. Pedro Perez also in the pits right now. So Doherty going in the pits. See what his, you know, Doherty's been one to take a swing for the fences. He's definitely not afraid to risk it. So we'll see what he can do. You know, he was running in 4th place. Now he's in 5th with Marchician in front of him. But Marchician still has to pit. So we'll see if some of these guys pit. Okay, so here's Macedo did not. Vroman did not. Snow did not. And let's take a look at Marchician, whether or not he pits on this lap. No, he will not. So this is going to be interesting to see how different guys' strategy pays off. So we're being told that Doherty did not take tires. We've seen him use this pit strategy before. Doesn't take tires. That's probably why that pit stop happened so quickly that we missed it, is because he was only in there for a few seconds and right back out. So we're looking at David Macedo right now, who's out in the lead, followed by Vroman. Now Vroman is in the pits. Okay, so Vroman, Snow stayed out, so he's going to take second. See what Andre does here. Andre's pretty good gap behind these guys right now. See what happens with him, if he's going to pit or not. And here he comes. Okay, so Andre's going to pit. So Doherty's going to take that position back. Meanwhile, Roman is still in the pit, so Doherty's going to take that position also. So we know Jay is going to be Jay's going to be Jay. He's going to be really fast on fresh tires. But let's see what the split is between Doherty and Jay. Boy, doesn't this look familiar. We saw this same scenario unfold at Brands Hatch before, where Doherty didn't take tires and had a large gap on Jay, and Jay ran him all the way down and passed him with 1 lap to go. That was a really intense finish for that race. Crazy to believe we could be seeing that again for this race. Let's see what the split is from Doherty to Vroman. So Doherty's coming into the final turn right now. It's 15.8 seconds. Wow, deja vu all over again. This is very similar to what it was whenever these guys did this exact same thing the first time around. It was around 15, 16 seconds. Roman ran him all the way down and passed him with a lap and a half left to go. And now here we are again. But the real question is, what is going to happen with David Macedo and Jon Snow? Okay, so Snow is in the pits right now. Okay. So Snow, he's going to come out in front of Marsiglia. David Macedo, as he does from time to time, pushing for the late pit strategy. He seems to be a late pit kind of guy. He's kind of done that all along, if I can remember right. Hopefully I'm remembering that correctly. But he likes to pit late in the stint. And that's a good thing. That means that you're doing okay on your tires, because a driver who's desperate for new tires is not going to do that. So he's pretty good at managing his tires and doesn't mind running later into the race before he pits. So he is going to be way out in front now, because everybody has pit. Oh, and we see Snow got a 30-second penalty. I guess that must have happened on pit lane. So that's really going to put a damper on his race for sure. So we see David here. Coming around. See Marsiglia up there in front of him. Let's see if David comes in here. Yeah, here he comes. Okay, so he's coming into the pits. You see Snow having some kind of an issue at the entrance to the pit lane there. So this is going to determine the lead of the race right here. Let's take a look at Doherty. Doherty coming into the second to last turn here. David is still in the pits. Meanwhile, Vroman has cut the gap to Doherty down to 14.3 seconds. David is still in the pits. He's coming out now, but he's going to lose the place to Doherty. You see Jon Snow there, but that's not for position. John was serving that penalty, so he is now, I believe he's a lap down now. If I've calculated all this right, I think Jon Snow would be a lap down now, because he came out behind Doherty after serving that penalty. So Doherty followed by David Macedo. It's a 7.2 second gap. So David Macedo has only got to make up 7.2 seconds to catch Mike Doherty, and we know Doherty didn't take tires. Meanwhile, Vroman is only 6 seconds behind David Macedo. And Vroman looks like he's really picked up the pace since that pit stop. His last lap was a 1:24.5. This is certainly not over yet. A lot of racing left to go. We've seen Jay run down some pretty wide gaps to take a win before. Let's see what he can do today. But David Macedo has been one of the fastest guys on the track. He's really been good. You see he's catching up to John Snow there. You see Vroman in the background. Mike Doherty has just gotten past Pedro Perez. Alright, so let's take a look at what the splits are here. You see Snow in the background there. So Doherty is 6.6 seconds in front of David Macedo. Vroman has cut the gap down to David Macedo to 3 seconds. So that is going to be the closest battle on the track right now for position. Is going to be Vroman running down David Macedo. We got a little bit of a mixed match of cars in here right now that aren't racing for position, that are kind of in between some of our leaders. Hopefully these guys can all sort each other out without any issues. So we've got Doherty, who's running on old tires, 29 laps into the race. He's no doubt happy that there's some traffic cars between him and the second and third place, because he's going to need all the help he can get managing those tires. Let's take a look on board with Doherty. He's looking really stable. He doesn't look like he's fighting the car, even though he's got 29 laps on those tires. There's a little bit of a adjustment there, but just keeping it nice and consistent. Let's see what his lap time is this time around. See him getting a little bit loose there, but still no problem. So he ran a 125.4, which is about what he was running earlier in the race. That's around the same time he's been running most of the race, so he hasn't really dropped off that much. Meanwhile, David Macedo has dropped the gap to Doherty down to 4.9 seconds. So we look on board with David here for a second. He's got 2 cars between him and the leader. Then you got Vroman, who has cut the gap down to 1.9 seconds on David Macedo. And we know Vroman has a lot of speed. We are a little over 10 laps, probably 12 laps from the finish of this race. We'll see what these guys can do with the gaps that they've got. We see Vroman really catching up to Macedo now. Putting the moves on Perez is Jon Snow, you can see up there. Those guys are racing close. That is actually for position, so we're seeing Perez get a little inside and let Snow go there. Perez must have had a mistake through there because he's losing a lot of speed to everybody. See Vroman here trying to make it work around the outside on this turn, able to make it stick. Dangerous maneuver there, trying to go around the outside on the downhill. So Vroman is only 0.5 seconds behind Macedo now. He's right on him. And Doherty's just got to be hoping that these guys battle it out for a few laps so he can take the win. See Roman pushing the edge of the track right there. Whoa, Macedo gets loose, manages to hold on to it. Good save by him, but he's falling back into Jay's clutches now. Oh, you see Jay get a little wide there. David is really fast down that hill. He's really comfortable going down the hill right there. A lot of guys lose it on that hill. So there's a lot of trepidation when people get to that part of the track, but David's really quick through there. He's pretty comfortable with his car set up in that area. Meanwhile, you see all the blue flags that are waving. They're trying to get Jon Snow to let these guys go, but there's not a lot of places to let people go. You can see he's finally letting David go here. He's going to let Jay go also. So good driving by John there to let... Oh, you see David run wide, and Jay is going to close that gap right back down, right on Macedo. Some really, really close racing here coming through the second to last turn. You see Jay right up on his rear end, looking down the inside, backs out of it. So David Macedo has ran a really good race, but unfortunately the reward you get for running a really good race in this league is you got to battle for position at the end of the race. These guys are usually battling at the end of the race. Whoa, as you see Jay four-wheel slide through that turn there. He's had problems with that turn before. That's where he had an incident in the first race here that put him off the track and into the wall. So a little bit unsettled for Jay right now. He's got to take a deep breath and get back on his horse. Almost lost it through there and then had a little mistake climbing up the hill there. That's going to let Macedo pull away. Meanwhile, Doherty is 4.2 seconds ahead of these guys. 33 laps in the books, just about 34. He's about to cross the line to make it 34 laps in the books. 34 laps on one set of tires. Let's see what his lap time was this time around. See him coming down the hill here. 126.0. So 126.0. Meanwhile, David Macedo was a 125.6 and Jay Vroman was a 125.7. So these guys they're gaining on him, but they're also battling each other. They keep catching up to each other and battling. So that's going to slow him down. That's going to give... You see Vroman getting a little bit off the track there again. He's having a hard time coming up that hill the last couple of laps. The more these guys battle, the better it is for Doherty. You see Vroman pushing the track limits again. He's really driving that thing hard. Whoa, that was close. Vroman right on David coming down into that turn right there. Let's see just how close that was. We see Vroman gets a good run on him here, coming down this stretch. Gets right up on him in this turn. Takes the turn really tight. Good turn there by Vroman. But the slide coming out of the turn actually slowed him down on the stretch. And this is where David seems to be a little faster than Jay, is coming down the hill up here. Let's see how they do this time around. So you're going to come back down into third gear. Feather the throttle. Oh, and Jay gets loose, so he's definitely going to gap him this time. Jay getting loose there coming down the hill. Jay is driving on the edge of control right now. We've seen it for about 2 laps. He's been pushing it, pushing the track limits and pushing his car. He's still holding on to it, but man, that's a dangerous way to live. You can only do that so much before it bites you. Meanwhile, you see Doherty up ahead up there. He's just trying to hold on to it. The lead to Doherty is now down to I think it was 2.0 seconds. You see from David Macedo's perspective, there's Doherty right up ahead, 2.5 seconds, excuse me. So 2.5 seconds to Doherty. David has ran a really great race up to this point. And once again, it was the pit strategy that put Doherty out in the lead. Taking no tires and just gambling really has paid off for him so far. See Vroman really up close, looking down the inside, but not actually making the move there. Back on board with Vroman here. He's taking that turn right there really tight on the inside, but then he runs wide and gets into the grass a little bit on the outside. He's done that about 3 laps in a row. He might have done that the whole race, but we've only been on board with him for the last 2 or 3 laps. where he caught David before, right through here. Really good racing by both of these guys. Oh, and they both go off the track at the same time. Lucky break for David Macedo that Jay followed him. No doubt Jay was just following him through the turn and misjudged it because he's watching the car in front. But what that's going to do is that is going to open the gap for Doherty. Doherty is up to 3.6 second gap again. So these guys have got more work to do, and there's not a lot of laps left. Only about 5 laps left in the race. It's going to take some really good driving by Macedo to be able to catch Doherty. You look at Doherty, his last lap was a 125.1, so he has remained consistent on these tires. As old as they are, he's kept it steady lap after lap after lap. That's why these guys haven't caught him yet. You know, the first time when we ran this race and he didn't take tires, by the end of the race, he was running some pretty slow laps. He was pretty far off the pace, and Jay was able to run him down. This race, he seems to have figured out a setup that is allowing him to kind of manage the tires a little better. Now, meanwhile, I'm sitting here talking. Doherty is trying to deal with traffic. Eric Tong lets him go down the hill here. A good move by Eric. You know, Brands Hatch is not a great track for passing. So if you can put a traffic car between you and the guy behind, that's just one more thing the guy behind's got to deal with before he can get to you. But as I'm saying that, Eric Tong lets these guys go, so they're back on Doherty with a clean track in front of him. You see Vroman, he's falling back a little bit on Macedo. Roman makes up a bunch of time through that section there. He's right on Macedo now. So you see Marsiglia getting off the track there. Oh, Vroman's looking down the inside, gets a good run coming down the stretch here. He's going to take the position. Good move by him. Now can he hold on to it down the hill? He's got it down the hill. There's only about 3 laps left. Does Jay have anything for Mike Doherty? Doherty is 3 seconds ahead of him. He's right there within reach. But there's not much race left. Roman has somehow managed to hold on to it despite being on the edge of control for a lot of the last 10 laps. He's really been pushing hard. Of course, anybody who's seen Jay race very much knows that he spends a lot of his time on the edge of control. That's kind of his driving style. Very fast, but very loose. You see him, he's gaining on Doherty. It's down to 2.2 seconds. You know, Doherty's got to be thinking, here we go again. Same track, same strategy, same situation. Roman running him down at the end of the race. Roman ran a 124.6 last lap. Doherty ran a 125.9, so that was one of his slower laps. That is going to If he runs another one or two of those, he's going to be in trouble. Meanwhile, David has fallen back off of Roman a little bit here. See David running wide there. And running a little wide again. He's no doubt pushing, trying to catch Jay. Meanwhile, Roman is almost in reach of Doherty now. 1.3 seconds is the last gap that's shown. Right on Doherty now. There is not much race left at all. These guys are battling it out. The one thing that Mike has going for him is there is not many places to pass on this track. You see Doherty pull a little bit of a gap there coming over the hill. Oh, Doherty loses a lot of speed through there. Jay's right on him now. Looks to the inside, but isn't able to pull it off. Doherty just trying to hold on to it here. Coming down the final turn, he is gonna pull it off. He's gonna pull it off. He's gonna come through and get the checkered flag. What a win by Doherty. What a win there. And then you see David Macedo, who finished in third. Andre Marchishin. Oh, these guys have all already finished. Or no. No, that's the end of the race. Okay. Let's go back and catch that last lap or so for some of these guys. So our final finishing order is Doherty, Vroman, Macedo, Marchishin, John Snow, Eric Tong, Pedro Perez, Mike Caminiti, and Joe Marsiglia. Good racing by everybody. Interesting to see how it all shook out. Being back at this track again. Very interesting, that's for sure. These guys put on a good show, as they always do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the beginning of the race. You guys know what I like to do here. I like to give credit for the start of the race being the reason that we had such a good race. Now this start wasn't as clean as some of the ones that we've had. We had a little incident right here. We got Kyle Macedo coming inside, gets into Joe Marsiglia. Then Kyle gets loose on the bumper and ends up in the wall. That was going to finish his race right there. So a little bit of a bad start there for those two guys, but everybody else managed to keep it really clean. come back through the Marsiglia recovered really well. You see Doherty just really, really slow off the start, losing positions all the way back into 8th place, I believe. And, we've seen Mike Doherty get slow starts at a lot of our races, but at the end of the race, he's always up in the front. And a lot of the time, he's taking home the win, like he did tonight. So, for guys who get a little too aggressive and a little too excited on the first lap, just, this is a perfect example of the first lap does not determine your race. And you see Doherty here running in 7th place now. How far behind he is to the leader, he ends up winning the race. So, really good race by him. Horrible start by him, but we're not terribly surprised by that because we've seen him do it before. I think Mike's a little tight at the start of the race, and he's the kind of guy who will let people go. It's just like, oh, you can go, I'll catch you later kind of thing, and he usually does. And so that works out for him. But thanks, everybody, for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the race tonight. Look forward to next week. Next week we're at Zolder. Zolder should be a good weekend for us. It's a fun track. A lot of guys like Zolder. I know I really like Zolder. I'm a very big fan of that track. So that'll be fun. The race will be up sometime before Monday or around Monday next week for Zolder. If you guys are watching this now, we're probably already closing in on Monday night's practice for Zolder, so please come and join us if you plan on racing in the race next weekend. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good night.